as I said before, we're going to talk. Just is a talk. Is a talk about naked and not ashamed. As we read from the book of Genesis, the Bible says that Adam and Eve were naked and they did not feel ashamed. They were not ashamed at all. And I feel that this is what carries marriages today. The sense of being naked and not ashamed is what makes marriages be very special in a very special way. Being naked and not ashamed, to me, I look at it in the reality of itself, the way it is. Just as I think I said in episode 1, if you are all the two of you in the house, and you are nobody is in the housemaid is not there, the kids are not there, you are just the two of you in the house. It calls for normality, or it's just normal for you to walk all the way from your bedroom after wearing nothing, the kitchen, and do whatever you want to do without feeling any shame at all. Unless you have CCTVs in your house, because there are some of us who have CCTVs in our house. But the case I am trying to bring to us is that when we get married, the shame of being naked doesn't apply anymore. There is that sense that you do not feel anymore concerning shame before your partner, for whatever reason. And that is exactly what should drive our lives, even not only about body nakedness, but about other issues that come in our lives. This is what I mean, that your wife and your husband should be very free to share with you their issues that are so naked, so deep, that they cannot be able to share with anybody else. Naked and not being ashamed. I have heard of stories on how the marriages of long time used to be. And sometimes you are walking with your wife from your home to a shop in the village, and the man is very far in front and the wife is very far behind. So when they are talking, when you meet the man on the road, you might think that the man is talking to himself and he's talking very loudly. You might think the man is talking to himself, maybe at a corner. So when you pass the man and now take a corner, you hear the wife responding from a distance. I'm not saying that you got to walk together so that you may show how close you are with each other. But I think it is not a bad thing all the same. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. Walking together, holding hands, wearing the same clothes, the same attire, the same fashion design. It's not bad. It's not bad, by the way. And it's not show off, by the way. People that love each other, the things that they do is not actually show off. And it is only show off if it is taken out to the public. But indoors, in the house, it doesn't happen. So that's where the problem is. So being naked and not feeling ashamed, to me, I look at it with the eyes that there was nothing that Adam or Eve could hide from each other. Today we are living in marriage whereby you are afraid to share your issues with your spouse, because your spouse will make you are afraid that your spouse will make you naked before the public. And we have seen it happen so many times. And you ask, why? And yet the two were together and they did not feel ashamed. They were naked and did not feel ashamed. Remember, when Adam and Eve ate from the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, they went to hide. The Bible does not tell us that Adam went to hide in a different place and Eve went to hide in a different place. They all went to hide in the same place. This means even in the same place, they were still not ashamed with each other, but they felt that their nakedness should not be exposed to the public. I think before the fall and before the sin, probably Adam and Eve could share their issues publicly and openly. But the very moment they got involved into sinning and eating from what God had forbidden them from eating, they felt that their nakedness shouldn't be exposed. And that is the feeling of today. When you go gossiping your husband or gossiping your wife, when you gossip your spouse, you are exposing your spouse's nakedness to the public. And it is very hard sometimes to begin to come back and try to solve problems that are already out in the public domain. It is not easy. And that's why I said the other day, let us keep third party out of the issues of our marriage, because that is a way of exposing each other to the public. It is a way of exposing our nakedness to the public. Remember this. Anytime you expose your husband or your wife to the public, you are actually exposing yourself. You're actually messing yourself. You go out and gossip your spouse, and when you are passing by, you begin to feel like as if everybody in the village, in the workplace, knows what you're going to do. And some of us, we like to self-sanitize, like, I don't care. I am not the one that did it. He is or she is the one that did it to me. Like, for example, if you went through hard time in your marriage and you expose your marriage to the third parties and to the public, what happens is this, that you begin to look down upon yourself without knowing. You are the one that did the exposure, but you begin to look down upon yourself without knowing. You feel a sense of insecurity. You feel a sense of unworthiness. You feel a sense of not belonging to your team members, just because of the bare fact that you spilled your beans before them. So, this is my advice to all of us. Let us be naked and not ashamed, but only before all in the presence of our spouses. That is the only place we got the right to be naked and not feel ashamed. But the very moment we begin to take our nakedness to the public, there the problem begins, and the solution of those problems might not be easily found. It might be so hard for you to come by a solution after messing or making public your marriage issues. I will say this. When you bring your issues to the public, what you're saying is that you have put yourself before a public panel that is ready to judge you very harshly, without mercy at all. And that judgment is going to ruin your marriage. I continue to reiterate again and again and again. Let us keep off our marital problems out of the public domain. Let third parties not be involved in our marital problems. Have you ever look at it this way? Have you ever discussed or gossiped to your spouse, and then your spouse came along that gossip and asked you, Did you tell so and so this and this? Can you imagine that shame when your spouse beats that so and so? And the so and so will definitely not keep quiet. Tell you, hear spouses ask, did you tell so and so this and this? And you know that so and so does not keep his or her mouth shut. Why have you exposed us to the whole village? Yes. And you can see the embarrassment that you bring to your spouse. And eventually, that embarrassment, you begin to own it. You even get more embarrassed than your spouse. So this is what I'm saying. Let us be naked, but naked to each other. Let us not take our nakedness beyond ourselves. Let us not take our nakedness beyond our spouse. Let us be naked to each other. Do not expose yourself in a way that you might not have a remedy to bring it back. Do not. I'm talking to young couples who are very fond sometimes of sharing your problems with your friends. Keep your problems to yourself. I said the other day, if your spouse is not the first one to know that there is a problem, then you have a problem. Like, don't be too quick to say that Alinikosea. Imagine Alinikosea. Imagine he did something bad to me. Don't be too quick. Just tell him. Just tell him Alinikosea. Before you say Alinikosea to others, say to him Alinikosea. Yani you made me feel bad. And you will be surprised. I told you that when you have the tendency of sharing your issues with your partner, with your spouse, imagine the solution will always be there. But the very moment you expose that problem that you think is a problem to the public, getting a solution might be very hard. Very, very hard. But when you begin with yourselves, okay, you know what? This is what you did to me, and I actually didn't like it. And I hope you don't do this again. That is more sweeter and more better than going out there and telling others, imagine this is what you did to me, and I don't like it, and I feel so very bad. And I said this before, and I will say still again. When you go to take your issues to people, they always behave like as if your issue is a mountain. They always pretend like as if they are going through nothing. And they begin to sympathize with you, and they begin to be remorseful, and they join you in your pain. And some of them, they advise you to walk out of your marriage. The enough is that your problem is very small as compared to their problem. So someone tells you to walk out of your marriage, and they themselves are working, they are inside a marriage that is suffering more than your marriage. But because you have a small problem, you yourself magnify that problem to be a very big problem. And when you are going to them probably to seek advice, then you are surprised that they will tell you to walk out of your marriage. But the very moment you listen to them, and if God can be able to expose what they are going through in their marriages, I am telling you for free, you will be